Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of The Great Ruler Season 2 Part 30 based on novel. So let's start. At the very moment when Ling Xi left the bamboo forest, the three gigantic spiritual arrays immediately activated. The spiritual energy of the heavens and earth instantly boiled and churned as boundless radiance permeated out, enveloping this entire area. Mu Chen's expression turned grave as spiritual energy burning with black flames rose from his body. Looking towards the complicated spiritual arrays radiating with brilliance that enveloped him, he could faintly make out traces of spiritual energy light chains that formed extremely complicated array diagrams. Due to the extremely close proximity of the three spiritual arrays to one another, it caused the level of complexity to increase by quite a bit. When combined, three fourth-grade spiritual arrays were able to erupt with the force of a heavenly transformation stage late phase. With Mu Chen's strength, if he used force with any qualm, he should be able to shatter and split these three fourth-grade spiritual arrays apart and break out of them. However, the last words that Ling Xi said to him had firmly obstructed him from heading down this path. Since he was unable to use the forceful way, the only thing he could do was to decipher the array cause. If not, that Ling Xi might immediately expel him. Just as Mu Chen was carefully observing and studying the spiritual arrays, the latter started blossoming with radiance. In the next moment, three gigantic rays of light swept over. Carrying along churning spiritual energy, they slammed against Mu Chen's body at lightning speed. Bang! As the rays of light shattered, Mu Chen was forced to step back. Spiritual energy burning with black flames that curled around his body grew dimmer before turning into a raging inferno again. "It's painful," muttered Mu Chen as he rubbed his chest. Although, with Mu Chen's current tyrannical fleshly body, enduring three heavenly transformation stage late phase attacks would not lead to any injuries, but the pain was still present. However, it was obvious that Elder Ling Xi would not let Mu Chen be so relaxed. Just as the three spiritual light beams had shot out, the three spiritual arrays started to rumble and revolve. In the next moment, as his face started to faintly change, beam after beam of lights hid the skies and covered the earth as they shot out, rumbling towards him before raining down like a storm. Such a terrifying amount of attacks, even Mu Chen started to feel his scalp turning slightly numb. Not daring to rely on his fleshy body to endure them anymore, a dragon's shadow erupted from Mu Chen's body as he activated the dragon soaring art and fled away. A remnant shadow appeared where Mu Chen previously stood, before immediately being shattered into pieces by the incoming spiritual energy beams. Bang! Bang! Unfortunately, there wasn't much room within this region of space enveloped by the gigantic spiritual array, thus Mu Chen could not completely escape from it. Even relying on the dragon soaring art, he was still struck dozens of times, causing tremors to shake within his body. At that moment, Mu Chen's face had truly turned ugly. According to normal reasoning, the fourth-grade spiritual arrays arranged by him would at most be able to erupt with a single barrage of attacks, before gradually dissipating away. However, the three before him had continued launching barrage after barrage, with no end to them. "I have to hurry up and break these arrays," muttered Mu Chen as his gaze turned solemn. He did not dare to drag this on any longer, because if this continued, even with his small accomplishment in his Thunder God physique, he might still be consumed to death in this place. In the next instant, brilliance erupted from within his eyes as he locked onto the revolving spiritual arrays. The complicated array diagrams that were stretched by lines and lines of glowing spiritual energy lines started to be continuously etched within his mind. Bang! However, just as Mu Chen had managed to probe into a little bit of the locus of the array diagrams, a wave of rampaging attacks came heading his way, forcing him to retreat tens of steps. As his blood and chi rolled and churned over, the locus of the array diagrams that he had just managed to obtain were changed by the revolving spiritual arrays. A wasted effort. This was akin to a person trying to fumble around a moving maze, and needed to follow those orbital tracks. However, once that probe was being disrupted and interfered with, the orbital tracks would be messed up by the revolutions. If one wanted to escape the maze using conventional means, the only thing one could do was to try again from the start. Unable to bear it, Mu Chen let out a curse. Only now did he truly understand how difficult it was to break an array using this method. Naturally, he also knew that if it was that easy to find the array core of a revolving spiritual array and destroy it in one fell swoop, then being a spiritual array master would not be as popular as it was. Clenching his teeth, Mu Chen told himself to not get flustered. Upon getting flustered and anxious, he would no longer be able to find those array cores, with the only way left being for him to force his way out. If not, he would truly be consumed to death. As Mu Chen forcefully instructed himself to calm down, black lightning started to erupt on the surface of his body as the lightning rune on his chest grew brighter. He had already activated his Thunder God physique. With that, he would be able to reduce the disturbance caused by the periodic attacks towards him. Within the clearing in the bamboo forest, Mu Chen's figure continued to flutter about as he retreated, evading those spiritual arrays that hid the skies and covered the earth as they headed his way. From time to time, some of those spiritual energy light beams would sweep across him, causing a faint bout of trembling to spread within his body. Standing outside of the spiritual arrays, Sua covered her eyes with her hands, not daring to take a look at Mu Chen, who was now trapped in a spectacle that was too horrible to endure. If it was her that was within those spiritual arrays, she might have long lost her little life. As time slowly elapsed, the boundless spiritual energy within the depths of the bamboo forest grew increasingly erratic. Ray after ray of spiritual energy light beams swept out, causing the sky to be suffused by a brilliant rainbow of colors. Bang! Within the spiritual arrays, Mu Chen's body was struck by tens of spiritual energy light beams. Black lightning sparkled on the surface of his body, forcibly resisting the incoming impact, while a flash abruptly appeared within Mu Chen's gaze as he stared towards the revolving spiritual arrays. He had already managed to get an approximate feel of the array diagram of one of the spiritual arrays. However, he was still unable to find its array core. The spiritual arrays arranged by that Ling Xi were extremely formidable. As the three spiritual arrays overlapped with each other and jointly revolved, there was completely no pattern that they followed. Due to the superimposition by the three spiritual arrays, wanting to find their array cores was too difficult a task. And the common way of dealing with them was completely unable to be used. Big Brother Mu Chen, half of the time has already passed. You can do it. Sua's slightly worried reminder rang out from the distance. She was very clear about Ling Xi's character. If Mu Chen truly was unable to break out of the arrays within the stipulated time, there would truly be nothing that could be said. Taking a deep breath, Mu Chen clenched his fists tightly, before slowly closing his eyes. As he did so, he immediately entered the Heart's Array state. Although the higher and more profound Heart's Eye state was something that he was still unable to control, the Heart's Array state was, after all, an elementary state. This, at his current level, he was able to exhibit a high level of control over it. Within the darkness, points of brilliance started to light up, which seemed to be countless points of spiritual energy light. Those rays of light howling across were the attacks sent out by the spiritual arrays. The outside was a bright and intense radiance. Within that radiance should be the location of the spiritual arrays. Upon seeing all of these, Mu Chen's state of mind grew increasingly concentrated and decisive. Extended his mind out, he slowly started to send a feedback of the orbital tracks of those spiritual arrays back into his mind, before slowly linking them and continuing this process. The disturbance occurring in the outside world had seemingly been completely shut out at this moment. The complete orbital track of the spiritual array started to gradually take form within Mu Chen's mind. Bang! Within the spiritual arrays, the footsteps of Mu Chen, whose eyes were tightly shut, started to move much slower. On his body, the light from the black lightning sparked as dozens of rays of spiritual energy light beams surged over. Like a furious dragon, they violently impacted against his body. The low and deep sounds that rang out caused a shiver in Sua's little heart. As the spiritual energy light beams exploded against Mu Chen's body, his body was forced back by about 10 steps. The clothes on his body were tattered, while shallow traces of bloody wounds appeared. Mu Chen was the only person able to endure such attacks with his fleshly body. If it was any other person at the heavenly transformation stage late phase, they might have long been smashed into pulp. While Mu Chen was being forced back, his eyes still remained tightly shut. In the next instant, he sent a fist furiously rumbling out. Spiritual energy burning with black flames swept out, before violently impacting a certain location within that bright and resplendent spiritual arrays. Bang! Instantly, the spiritual arrays seemed to intensely tremble, before the spiritual array and the innermost location started to violently shudder. Cracks started to rapidly extend across the surface, before finally exploding with a bang. The first spiritual array's array core was finally found by Mu Chen, before being easily destroyed by a fist from him. "You did it!" Cheers immediately rang out from Sua as her big and vivid eyes were filled with worship. Big brother Mu Chen's too awesome. He could actually find the array core just like that. Even though he smashed an array core with his fist, Mu Chen's eyes still remained tightly shut. There were still 2 more spiritual arrays. Fortunately, it was much easier to find their array cores, compared to before. After all, one of the 3 superimposing spiritual arrays was broken. Therefore, it would not require the same amount of consumption and concentration as before. Therefore, within a short span of a number of minutes, 2 more fists rumbled out from Mu Chen. 2 streaks of glowing spiritual energy violently impacted a corner of those 2 spiritual arrays, causing them to instantly shudder. With a hum and a buzz, both of them completely came to a stop, before rapidly dissipating away. The 3 spiritual arrays were all broken. After breaking the 3 spiritual arrays, Mu Chen was still deep within his previous state. He seemed to be able to faintly feel something, as though a fantastic feeling had flashed with the depths of his spirit. This feeling was extremely fantastic. However, even though he wished to capture it, he was unable to make contact with it. Regardless of that, he was able to feel that he had faintly started to make contact with the thing that he yearned for in his dreams. As the spiritual arrays dissipated, Mu Chen stood erect at his original position for a long time, before slowly opening his eyes. Instantly, a weak feeling spread throughout his legs as intense pain started to ring out from his body. Lowering his head to take a look, he discovered that his entire body was filled with wounds. Although they weren't life-threatening, they had brought along waves of intense pain. Mu Chen sucked in a cold breath of air. It is fortunate that he had managed to reach a small accomplishment in his Thunder God physique. If not, the current him would already have shattered meridians and broken bones, and pain that would far exceed the pain radiating from his muscles. "Big brother Mu Chen, you too awesome," exclaimed Sua in excitement as she rushed over. However, upon seeing Mu Chen's bare upper torso, caused by his tattered clothes, the little girl quickly started to blush as she turned her little red face away. With difficulty, Mu Chen gave a smile, retrieving and wearing a new set of clothes. In the next moment, he felt the exhaustion radiating from within his body. That was the feeling of his mental energy being overly depleted. The earlier fight to break those spiritual arrays was simply even more tiring than his fight with Shueisha. "Elder Ling Xi." Mu Chen spoke out as he raised his head to look at his surroundings, knowing that Ling Xi would definitely be paying attention to him. "It's almost an hour. You're barely able to pass." Ling Xi's clear and cold voice rang slowly in the air. "Go back, for now, and we'll continue tomorrow. It'll be the same as today, but there'll be 1 more spiritual array." A faint shiver spread within Mu Chen's body. However, he did not let any sounds of anguish out. Contrary to that, a blazing fire seemed to erupt from within his eyes. Although Ling Xi's methods were cruel and barbaric, it had to be said that the results were extremely tempting. If the fantastic feeling that he had felt earlier continued to appear, he would definitely be able to give birth to the true Heart's Eye. "Thank you very much, Elder Ling Xi." Cupping his hands, Mu Chen gave a pat of Sua's small head, before walking off by himself. This was Ling Xi's residence. Other than Sua, he didn't see anyone else. Thus, it wasn't convenient for him to stay. As Mu Chen disappeared into the distance, the lady dressed in white, Ling Xi, finally appeared beside Sua as her beautiful eyes stared at the direction where Mu Chen had broken the spiritual arrays. "Elder sister Ling Xi, isn't big brother Mu Chen very awesome?" asked Sua in satisfaction. Extending her slender and jade-like finger, Ling Xi gave a soft tap on Sua's bright and radiant forehead. However, she did not give a reply, with the only thing she did was look at the direction where Mu Chen had left, before giving a faint nod. That Mu Chen's talent in spiritual arrays truly has some aspects that are worth commending. In the following days to come, Mu Chen came almost every day to undergo Ling Xi's demonic training. Upon completion, he would leave, completely covered in wounds. His tattered and miserable appearance gave Luo Li a fright. However, after knowing the entirety of the matter, she could only shake her head in helplessness. This elder Ling Xi was truly vicious in her actions. However, although Mu Chen had paid an extremely disastrous price to undergo this demonic training, it had to be said that the results were truly not small. Within a short span of a few days, Mu Chen's rate of improvement was quite good. On the first day of this demonic training, when he had broken the 3/4 grade spiritual arrays, he was already totally consumed. Furthermore, it had led to him ending up in an extremely miserable state. However, at the end of the 10th day, he had already increased the number of superimposing spiritual arrays to a terrifying amount of 20. 24th grade spiritual arrays activated simultaneously. The threat coming from them would even cause a heavenly completion stage expert to feel his skin crawl. However, it was fortunate that those spiritual arrays weren't used for slaughter, thus, could not be compared to the ones that were used in real fights. Therefore, relying on his Thunder God physique, coupled with the increasing familiarity in his training, he was barely able to scrape past it every time. Naturally, the price he had to pay was even more disastrous. After completing the training every day, he wouldn't be able to move the next day, and could only take the day off to rest. As this cycle of rest for a day and break arrays for a day, Mu Chen could feel that the rate of the appearance of the fantastic feeling was becoming higher and higher. This made Mu Chen extremely elated. Although this fantastic feeling did not mean that he had already come into true contact with the heart's eye state, it was able to tell him that he was getting closer and closer to it. As long as he continued this, he would finally be able to brush aside the mysterious fog and truly comprehend the heart's eye state. Bang! Spiritual energy that blotted the skies erupted from within the depths of the bamboo forest as spiritual arrays started to envelope the surrounding sky. With their numerous amount, they formed layer after layer. With their revolutions, spiritual energy that hit the skies and covered the earth gushed and erupted out, roaring with terrifying prestige. At this moment, within the dense layers of spiritual arrays and countless howling light beams, a figure sparkled as it dashed around at lightning speed. Black lightning bolts sparked on its body, resisting the attacks from those spiritual energy light beams that couldn't be evaded. Bang! Bang! While dodging, the figure rapidly launched its furious attacks as vigorous exploding fists swept out, descending towards the numerous layers of spiritual arrays. Every time it launched an attack, a spiritual array layer would shudder, before emitting faint cracking sounds. A moment after that, the spiritual array would collapse, before transforming into dots of light that blotted the skies, before dissipating away. On the outskirts of the bamboo forest, Sua exclaimed in astonishment at the spectacle before her. In a short span of time that hadn't even reached half a month, Mu Chen had already broken away from the miserable state he was in during the beginning of the training. Obviously, he had also managed to grasp some concepts and understandings. Furthermore, even Sua could see that Mu Chen's ability to find and identify the array cores was getting increasingly formidable. Although Ling Xi did not use any methods to conceal the spiritual array's array cores, wanting to find and identify them in such a situation was, by itself, an extremely difficult task. Let's not mention a 4th grade spiritual array master. Even a 5th grade spiritual array master would be hard-pressed to accomplish that feat. However, Mu Chen was able to improve to such a level in a short span of 10+ days. This was already an extremely difficult feat to pull off. Bang! 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 While Sua was gasping in astonishment, following the howls of exploding fists, the layers of spiritual arrays within the depths of the bamboo forest were completely broken. As the dots of light that blotted the sky surfaced, they presented an exceptionally spectacular scene. As the final spiritual array shattered apart, a figure swept out and landed beside Sua. As the brilliance faded, it revealed the naked upper torso of Mu Chen, with some blood stains present. "Here, big brother Mu Chen," said Sua as she intimately handed him a set of clothes. The little lady was no longer embarrassed, since she had seen too much for the past few days, thus becoming used to it. Putting on the new set of clothes, Mu Chen wiped away the few blood stains on his body. Although intense pain still radiated from his body, he had already gotten used to it after a few days. Therefore, Mu Chen didn't end up in the same unbearable state as the first day, where he had almost collapsed due to a depletion of mental and physical strength. "Big brother Mu Chen, how's your comprehension on your heart's eye state?" asked Sua curiously. "I'm still lacking a bit," replied Mu Chen helplessly with a smile. He had felt that fantastic feeling once again just now. However, he didn't know why he felt as thought there was something slightly lacking. This feeling was akin to a little bird trapped within an egg and was trying to break the shell and escape, only to find that the shell was too hard. Unable to escape even after struggling, it appeared extremely distorted. However, Mu Chen was not overly greedy. Having such an improvement over these past few days was already considered a pretty good result. Although he was very confident of his talent, the heart's eye state was, after all, one that was much deeper and profound. It wasn't that easy to control it. "Then, big brother Mu Chen, you have to work harder. Yesterday, elder sister Ling Xi said that your improvement is too slow. If she was impatient, she would immediately chase you away," said Sua. Mu Chen immediately became speechless. After interacting for 10 days, it could be considered that he managed to gain some understanding about Ling Xi. This lady truly had a strong character and would do anything she wanted to do. Although Mu Chen believed that he did not dare to offend her, there truly was a possibility that, someday, she would become unhappy and drive him out for no apparent reason. "Sua, do you know exactly how old she is?" Taking a stealthy look at his surroundings, Mu Chen quietly posed this question to Sua. He was extremely anxious and curious about this question. Within the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy, it was the first time he had seen such a youthful elder. Her age seemed to be not much older than his own. However, he did not dare to say this definitively. The possibility existed for some experts with unfathomable strength to change their appearances, just like Elder Zhu Qian with his youthful appearance. However, with a single look, Mu Chen was able to see that his youthful appearance was just a facade. The ancient aura filled with vicissitude was unable to be concealed. However, Mu Chen was unable to sense such an aura coming from Ling Xi. Although the latter was cold and indifferent, she did not have an ancient aura coming from her. Elder sister Ling Xi never talked about this before. However, she only allows me to call her elder sister. I think that her age shouldn't be big. Hearing Mu Chen's question, Sua immediately suppressed her voice. Her big eyes were now filled with excitement. From the looks of it, her gossipy heart was no weaker than Mu Chen's. Mu Chen nodded his head in agreement. If the disparity between their ages was truly large, there shouldn't be the matter of her asking Sua to call her elder sister. However, if that was truly the case, this truly would be a bit frightening. Just how old was she? She actually possessed such terrifying strength. This would simply cause Shen Sangsheng and the rest of the elite students to die of a heart attack. In fact, I think that even elder sister Ling Xi isn't too clear about her age, since she seems to have forgotten a lot of things, said Sua as she tilted her head from side to side, looking somewhat puzzled. Mu Chen immediately gawped. Forgotten? His brows started to faintly wrinkle up. The feeling this Ling Xi gave people was that she was slightly too mysterious, with no one knowing exactly where she came from. This world truly had lots of mysterious and unfathomable things. Just as he wanted to probe further, a familiar figure dressed in white appeared in the distance, causing him to hastily shut his mouth. Similarly, Sua stuck her little tongue out while giving a pretentious act of helping Mu Chen with cleaning his blood stains. As Ling Xi slowly walked over, her clear and icy pupils shot a look at Mu Chen as she said, "Looks like you've some spare energy left today." One could hear the faint chilling intent within her voice. Mu Chen gave a dry laugh. "Since you're done with your training, why are you still here, instead of going back?" Immediately following her question, Ling Xi gave her next order. From tomorrow onwards, the number of spiritual arrays will increase to 30. After 5 days, you'll enter the spiritual array house. If you're still unable to open your heart's eye state, you can go fumble around by yourself. I won't teach such a stupid person. In response, Mu Chen gave a smile, without any bitterness shown on his face. He was, in fact, extremely curious to the point of anxiousness towards the so-called spiritual array house. From Sua's words, it seemed to be a place that was quite frightening. However, from Ling Xi's words, didn't it seem as though that place had some use towards opening his heart's eye? As this harbored this thought within his heart, he gave Sua's little head a rub before saying his goodbyes and leaving. Upon seeing Mu Chen leave, Ling Xi glared at Sua while saying, "Do you want to see what I'll do to you if you dare to say nonsense about me?" "Sua won't dare to do it anymore," replied Sua hastily as she shook her head. "Elder sister Ling Xi is so scary. She really did hear us. Why are you not cleaning the bamboo forest?" MHM, Sua nodded her head repeatedly, before hugging the large broom that was taller than her and proceeding to sweep the bamboo forest that had turned into a mess by Mu Chen. As Ling Xi looked towards the little figure of Sua, a faint smile surfaced at the corner of her mouth. In the next moment, she seemed to think about something as a somewhat blank expression presented itself slightly in her eyes. Giving a soft sigh, she turned around and headed back to the bamboo house, before entering its depths. Presently, there was a little bamboo house with tightly shut doors. Opening the doors of the bamboo house, one could not see a single speck of dust within, with everything within being considerably simple and organized. A praying mat was present within the house, while a painting hung on the wall in front of it. The painting seemed to be of a black-colored pagoda. A vague and indistinct figure of a lady sitting down was present on top of the pagoda. The figure was extremely blurry and indistinct. However, it gave people a feeling of peace and tranquility. Ling Xi proceeded to kneel and sat down on the praying mat, before staring blankly at the painting. A blank and vacant expression fluctuated within her beautiful eyes, as if she was trying hard to remember something. However, after exhaling a breath of air with some pain, she clutched her forehead with her white hands as her black hair spilled all over the floor, causing her slender figure to appear exceedingly frail and miserable. This was a desolated area of mountains and fields. On the summit of a lone peak stood a youth dressed in black with his hands behind his back. A black sword was carried on his back, while a black dragon mark sat within his forehead. An aura of extreme chill radiated from the dragon mark, giving people a terrifying feeling that would make them tremble in fear. That familiar appearance was Mo Longzi. Faintly panning his head, he looked at a distance far away in the north as a cruel and frosty smile surfaced at the corner of his mouth. "Chasing me for so long, you two really have perseverance. However, this time, I'm afraid that you two won't be able to return. This is the grand feast that I've specially prepared for you two. Ha ha, if I'm able to kill the first and second place of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy, would I be able to exceed him on their bounty list? I truly look forward to it." A soft and chilling laughter slowly rang out from the mountain peak as the figure dressed in black started to slowly dissipate in the air. Due to a single statement by Ling Xi, for the next 5 days, it was very clear that Mu Chen's life was unbearably tough and painful. With 34th grade spiritual arrays grinding him to the point between life and death, he was left battered and exhausted. However, it was fortunate that after enduring a period of the demonic training, Mu Chen could be said to have developed some resistance to it. Therefore, after successively failing in completing his training of breaking the 30 spiritual arrays, Mu Chen finally successfully accomplished it with extreme difficulty on the 4th day. However, the price he paid was an immediate loss of consciousness due to being totally drained upon exiting the spiritual arrays, which resulted in him being dragged back to the freshman area by Sua. For the 5th day, Mu Chen took the entire day's worth of time to recuperate, which resulted in him finally recovering. However, there was still a slight lingering fear within him. 34th grade spiritual arrays, even though it was of the training grade, it was sufficient to make a huge percentage of people at the heavenly completion stage to completely lose the color on their faces. Naturally, having completed this training did not equate to Mu Chen being able to confront 34th grade spiritual arrays when engaging in battle against others. Training and real-life combat were, after all, not the same. The enemies faced during combat would not immediately arrange their spiritual arrays like that and leave them without any further control to let anyone search and probe their patterns. However, this did not mean that the training did not have any effect. As of now, Mu Chen believed that if he met 1 or 2 4th-grade spiritual arrays, he would absolutely be able to effortlessly dispel them without any kind of consumption of his strength. His understanding and familiarity towards spiritual arrays had undoubtedly become much more refined after this half a month. The 5th day was being used completely by Mu Chen to recuperate. Only on the next day did he continue to head back to Ling Xi's small courtyard. As Mu Chen walked into the small courtyard, a girl dressed in a skirt as white as snow was sitting near the bamboo ledge within the green and verdant bamboo house. Propping her lovely cheek with her white hand, her beautiful eyes gazed onto the ground, with no focal point within her sight, while a faint expression was present on her beautiful face. That vacantness masked her original icy and indifferent expression, causing her to give people an additional beautiful feeling of frailness upon seeing her. Ling Xi's appearance was already extremely beautiful, with only her icy indifference that forced people 1,000 miles away, making Mu Chen not daring to say much in front of her. However, spotting the former with such a rare expression caused him to go into a daze upon seeing her. While Mu Chen was in a daze, Ling Xi had also discovered his arrival, causing those beautiful eyes to immediately refocus, becoming the usual iciness and indifferentness once again. You've arrived, big brother Mu Chen. Are your injuries healed? Sua's small head extended from the bamboo house at this moment. Upon seeing Mu Chen, happiness filled her little face. Sending a smile towards her, Mu Chen cupped his hands and greeted Ling Xi, elder Ling Xi. Ling Xi shot a look at him, before saying in her usual indifferent tone, "Before everything, I have to tell you that the spiritual array house is extremely dangerous. Although you've gotten seriously injured during your usual training here, that is, after all, within the boundaries of your limits. However, the inside of the spiritual array house is different from your training. Once you make a slip, your little life will be lost in there. Furthermore, at that time, I'll not save you, as this is your own decision. Your life and death is of no concern to me." Mu Chen's expression turned faintly solemn as he asked, "After entering the spiritual array house, would I then be able to open my heart's eye?" With the slightest bit of mercy, Ling Xi destroyed Mu Chen's hopes with a single reply, "Do you think you're capable of doing that?" Mu Chen gave a bitter laugh. "You've already managed to touch the heart's eye state, with the only thing stopping you is your inability to open it. However, the final step you're lacking in might only be broken through during a life or death situation. Although the usual training is dangerous, it hasn't reached such a degree of danger," replied Ling Xi with her usual clear and cold voice. "Naturally, you can choose a different method from this. However, I'll only give you, at most, half a month of time. If you're still unable to open your heart's eye at that time, my guidance will also end right there." Ling Xi's voice didn't present many fluctuations within, and same with her emotions and feelings. She was naturally icy and indifferent, and didn't have a single shred of a relationship with Mu Chen. If not for Dean Tai Kang and Sua, she would simply ignore him. As of now, helping him for half a month was, to her, already considered as doing her best. Already clear about her character and temperament, Mu Chen didn't feel any anger or frustration. After a moment of deep thought, he nodded his head firmly. "I choose to enter the spiritual array house." He was similarly able to feel that he was somewhat lacking just one step. However, regardless of how much more training he did, that one step was difficult to stride over. Perhaps it truly was like what Ling Xi had said, that he need the stimulation present in a life or death situation to be able to truly open his heart's eye. Although he knew that this would be extremely dangerous, courage and bravery were things that Mu Chen never lacked. If he was overly cautious, Mu Chen felt that he would have already died long ago during the days within the spiritual road, even more so to walk to the step he was at now. Mu Chen's decision caused Ling Xi to take another look at him, before giving a calm and faint nod with her beautiful face as she turned and walked off. "Follow me." Mu Chen immediately followed suited, with Sua hastily following along. At this moment, worry and concern flooded her tiny face. She was very clear about how frightening the spiritual array house was. Once a problem arose while one was inside, even one's life might have no guarantees. The three of them passed through the quiet and serene courtyard to the deepest part of the area. This place appeared extremely spacious, with only a dilapidated stone house present in front of them. The stone house was covered in moss, giving people an ancient feeling filled with vicissitudes upon seeing it. Ling Xi came to a stop before the stone house. Forming a seal with her jade-like hands, a ray of spiritual energy shot out, before enveloping the dilapidated stone house. Following the enveloping brilliance, the stone house started to shudder, before rapidly expanding within Mu Chen's astonished gaze. In a short span of a few breaths, the stone house had transformed into a gigantic stone hall. Within the surroundings of the stone hall, one could faintly discern the mysterious runic lines flickering with a dim brilliance. This is, staring at the stone hall, a faint flash appeared within Mu Chen's gaze as thick astonishment erupted from within his eyes as he asked, "Is this a spiritual artifact?" From the stone hall, Mu Chen was able to feel the unique fluctuations possessed only by a spiritual artifact. He. This spiritual array house isn't any ordinary spiritual artifact. According to elder sister Ling Xi, it was previously a quasi-divine artifact. However, due to it being broken, its grade had dropped. Now, it's a peerless rank spiritual artifact. However, even if that was the case, due to extremely strong spiritual arrays concealed within it, even a sovereign would be trapped and find it hard to escape from within if he ever landed within it, replied Sua with a cheeky smile. Quasi-divine artifact. Mu Chen involuntarily sucked in a breath of cold air as he looked at Ling Xi's beautiful figure with strange gaze. Exactly what was her background? She was actually able to possess a quasi-divine artifact that would even shake the heart of sovereign realm experts. Out of all the many elders within the entire Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy, even the Heavenly Seat elders, like Mo Yu and Zhu Qian, might not even possess a quasi-divine artifact. Furthermore, what kind of frightening person or thing was able to cause this previously quasi-divine artifact to drop a rank to become an peerless rank spiritual artifact? Mu Chen quietly clicked his tongue. This Ling Xi was truly getting more and more mysterious. Ignoring the two behind her, Ling Xi stared at the dilapidated stone hall, while going into a daze as a vacant expression flashed within her beautiful eyes. Only after quite a while later did she give a faint sigh. With a wave of her white hand, rumbling sounds rang out of the tightly shut stone doors as they slowly started to open, bit by bit. Instantly after this, boundless spiritual energy fluctuations swept out from within. Prepare to go in. I can only open the first level of the spiritual array house. However, even though that's the case, it's sufficient to kill you. Therefore, you better focus all of your concentration. It's the same statement I've said earlier. Even if you are at death's door, I'll not take any action to save you. In all, you can only rely on your own strength. Ling Xi reminded in an indifferent tone. Mu Chen took a deep breath, before his expression turned firm and solemn. Facing a frightening thing that was even able to trap a sovereign expert within, if he just lost even a slight amount of concentration, he might be killed, spick and span. However, in such a moment, even if there were mountains of daggers or seas of flames in front of him, he would still give it a go. Mu Chen resolutely stepped forward, before walking straight into the open stone door. Glowing spiritual energy erupted from within, slowly submerging and devouring him. Bang! Rumble. As Mu Chen entered through the doors, low rumbling sounds rang out as the stone doors slowly started to close, bit by bit, before restraining the brilliance that blotted the skies back. Sua's little hands were clenched tightly as she looked towards the tightly shut stone doors. Stealing a glance at the beautiful face of Ling Xi, which was filled with an indifferent expression, she asked in a small voice, "Elder sister Ling Xi, what if big brother Mu Chen really can't hold on any longer? You would save him, right?" Glancing at Sua, Ling Xi replied with a tone that was almost devoid of emotion. That's his decision, so he has to take responsibility for himself. If this was just due to a spur of hot-headedness, it serves him right if he dies. If he was only of such a level, regardless of what kind of results he ends up in, I won't feel any pity. Hearing Ling Xi's cold and detached words and tone, Sua's big eyes started to uncontrollably turn red as she spoke out, "Elder sister Ling Xi, you're clearly very good-hearted, why do you have to act like that? You've scared me." Looking over toward Sua's reddening eyes, Ling Xi's expression became much more complicated. Hugging the little girl, she muttered, "Perhaps because I was previously like that. Therefore, the current me would reject such a feeling. Being more cold, being more heartless, that seems to be the only way to better protect myself." When Mu Chen's body was enveloped by the spiritual light that erupted out, he was able to clearly sense that the surrounding space had started to change. Upon sobering up, he discovered that he was now in a place that seemed to be a world of unending starry skies. Within the starry skies were boundless rivers of stars, causing people to feel a sense of dread surfacing within their hearts. As Mu Chen stood within the starry skies, he could gradually feel a sense of danger erupting from within his heart. Raising his head, he discovered that the surrounding starry skies were starting to transform at this moment. As the stars roared, they proceeded to condense and form a shape within the sky. Layer by layer it formed, as if the starlight was permeated out, before forming something akin to a gigantic spiritual array. Boundless spiritual energy was present in that spiritual array formed from the stars, while the spiritual energy fluctuations radiating out of it were even more tyrannical than the butchering demonic lotus spiritual array, formed from the two lotuses that Mu Chen had arranged before. This caused Mu Chen's expression to faintly change. This spiritual array was already at the 5th grade. Even people that had reached the heavenly completion stage would not dare to meet it head-on. This spiritual array house truly was extremely dangerous. Could he truly crash his way through? Mu Chen's expression grew grave, as uncertainty surfaced within his heart. This video will end here.